themselves. We've been doing these for 8 years, and for 8 years we've heard, you know what, immigration reform is on the horizon, and it really hasn't materialized at all.
Yes.
For much longer than 8 years. Assuming you are elected, what plans do you have to kickstart or change the immigration policy that our country has, since everyone seems to agree that it's not functioning well at this point in time, it needs to be improved, but no one seems to be giving any concrete ideas as to how to improve it?
You know, the truth of the matter is that people go to Washington and they may not have had the experience with immigration like I've had. I see the problems that we have, and there are some serious issues for people coming legally, and that opens the door to people defying the laws that happen. It's extremely expensive, it is somewhat arbitrary, and frankly, I am sick and tired of hearing my opponents demonize all immigrants and blame us for the shortfalls of the establishment. I really am. There are solutions. Those solutions involve a stepwise fashion. First of all, we have to make sure that our country is secure. So we have to be able to not only build a wall, that sounds very sexy, but it's not just building a wall. You have to be able to guard all your points of entry, because all of us want a safe America, a safe haven for our families. Once you've done that, then we can move on in a stepwise fashion and look at the people that are already here, already contributing. They're here for a reason. And some of them, frankly, act more American than Americans do. So we need to find solutions for those people. However, one caveat. If you do step into the country illegally, you cannot step in front of the line. So for me, those will be some of the guiding principles, because if you come in and you come in legally, you know that you have waited many years. If you come in the back door, so to speak, and you think that somehow that puts you in the front of the line, that simply is not viable, because that will create even more problems in the future. So safety first, then we can look at who's here, who's productive and contributing. We will need to look at how it is that our immigration process is going. We have several laws that have changed it so that it's not in the best interest of our economic growth, and it's not in the best interest of getting rid of the underbelly of the beast, which is the human trafficking, the drug trafficking, the sex trafficking, and frankly, those things have to be dealt with. A lot of people do not want to deal with those things because there's a lot of money to be made in those industries. I will come out in the forefront and expose some of the problems that legal immigrants have. I just spoke to one yesterday who married his wife in another country, thought that he had done all the paperwork that was done, came to cross the border, and then they told him that he hadn't done some other obscure thing, handcuffed his wife, and didn't let her into the country. Frankly, demonizing immigrants is just not right. So I think that most Americans don't understand that that still happens today.
You had mentioned, and I'm sorry, do you want to jump in?
Yeah, I was going to ask
please.
And you mentioned something about education and
yes.
how important it is. Understanding where Nevada sits.
Oh, yes.
And it's unacceptable, you know, I have kids as well in the education system. What are specific ideas you have to solve the educational crisis that we have today?
Well, one of the things that we look at is our federal government has decided in a one-size-fits-all. And if you learn anything about education, for instance, I and my sibling, I loved science and was very academically oriented. He was not. It didn't mean that we were less intelligent, but it meant that there are many different pathways. One of the frustrating things that I see now is that our federal government wants that one-size-fits-all. We have to stop that, because as individuals, culturally and intelligence-wise, and our different gifts given to us by God, we have different needs in education. We need education to happen at the local level. I will try and look at the federal government, and I will encourage every possible way that we don't take our federal monies back to Washington, D.C. and then hand it out in small allotments to the states. I would much prefer that kind of funding to stay here. Is there a need for some kind of federal education resource? Perhaps. But that would be a much smaller scaled bureaucracy than there is right now, because we really need the money in the classroom. We need to give our teachers the opportunity to teach, not make them teach to a test or to some golden standard, but actually teach so that children, each and every one of them, have the tools that they need, because that way they will be creative. We will also need to change the way that we look at education. Not every child needs to go to college. And that decision must be made by family members, the child themselves. So this whole college ready, nice for the people that are going to be going to college. Not so nice for people that need to do other things. So in answer to your question shortly, I will try and bring the education back down, the dollars, the whole aspect of it back to where we are locally, because that's where it should be.